Who is the most powerful puppet combo villain? For those of you who are heavily invested in the slasher video game genre, this could be a highly pertinent question because deadly antagonists players have to outmaneuver, finesse, and outsmart are the essence of quality puppet combo games. We not only love scary, but challenging antagonists that pose a seemingly realistic and scary threat to the player in an original way. A foreboding threat has been a foundational staple of horror art for ages, so it's only natural that we would rank the killers because of the fact that we're not only milking puppet combo content dry, but also watching tons of Wicked binge videos. We thought we'd embark on not a tier list, but an opinion-based list of least powerful to most powerful, meaning which antagonists are most likely to beat other puppet combo antagonists and players. So without further ado, here it is. We start off with Billy. We know for certain that the only reason he kills is because he's compelled by the monster in his closet. Beyond the creature having leverage against him, assuming he's not hallucinating, we don't know the ultimate motive behind Billy's actions. You might be skeptical of us putting him at the bottom because he has a gun giving him immense leverage over the other antagonists, but do keep in mind that guns in puppet combo games only exist to buy their users time. If we grant Billy acting as his own agent capable of free will, we don't know how decisive he'd be in combating other puppet combo antagonists one-on-one, which is why we decided in this spot. He's the most opaque in terms of us understanding his abilities and decision making. The next kitchen appliance wielding homicidal maniac on the list is Nicholas Burr. There's one particularly notable characteristic of his that puts him in this spot, and that's the fact that he's slow. In Michael Myers fashion, which was originally who he would walk like an automaton, seeming like he gets 15 miles per gallon, and had to get speed nerfed by his programmers who probably used Notepad++. Anyway, bullets, stab wounds, and blunt objects only seem to slow them down. However, this doesn't mean he's without advantage. He's super tall, being 6'4" in height, and could kill anyone if he lands a few stabs, and if we're going into hypothetical scenarios, he most likely wouldn't be the weakest link in a hand-to-hand fight, and could possess capabilities that involve lifting heavy weights in efforts to physically attack or defend against hostile actors. Another lunatic with a product from Home Depot as his weapon of choice is the Maniac from Buzzsaw Bloodhouse. He runs like he's on 0.5 playback speed, and the world around him is at normal speed. He's kinda like the Sawyer family from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in that they're right next to the girl and they have a clear shot at her, but don't reach to take it. He spends fatuous amounts of time swinging into the air and not into his victims, so much to the point where the inanimate traps do a better job than he does at killing. It's as if he's waiting for the viewers to get hyped up for the slaughter to generate more anticipation, but we guess that's content creation coming from the perspective of unpaid YouTubers. Not too dissimilar to game antagonists whose power has been nerfed to compensate for the slowness of their adversaries. The Easterripper takes his sweet time to look menacing, which he has no excuse for because typically he's not on camera, he's behind it. Anyway, on top of there being no reason for him to move like an automaton, he takes micrometer long steps towards his victims, with the only things of merit being the fact that he does have the fastidiousness to investigate as to where his victims are, and he deals devastating blows to finish his victims off as some sort of special death move. Moving on to more ferocious killers, the Driller Killer had to be our next pick because we know he actually has the capability to run and systematically targets victims under the influence of his own will. Juxtaposed to the three previous killers, this guy is noteworthily fast. Not only does he jog through his facility to find Megan, but goes on full T-1000 chasing after cars just to drill her to death. We don't know exactly how tall he is, but in terms of height, he seems comparable to Nicholas Burr in that their models don't look dissimilar in stature, assuming the scales in Power Drill Massacre and Babysitter Bloodbath are comparable. We're also under the impression that he too could throw hands, quite possibly feet, if his drill was taken away and he was just left to fend for himself against another puppet combo antagonist, or in Billy's case, protagonist. Not a guy you'd want to be trapped in an enclosed space with, or in an open space with, or any space for that matter. Just stay away from the Poconos. Getting past the liminal point of typical human capabilities and moving into more supernatural and borderline unexplainable entities, our next pick emphatically had to be the Butcher. for obvious reasons. To begin with how deadly he is, he's unnaturally fast, especially in Night Shift, where he abducts the protagonist because it doesn't matter if the player is all the way across from the back door, because the Butcher will drift towards them at what looks like light speed. It doesn't seem like he runs over to the player, because he seems to hover over the ground, as if he's some sort of levitating being, revealing something physicists need to investigate as soon as possible. It's actually quite possible that the Butcher isn't even human, but some sort of supernatural actor who defies so many laws of human physiological capabilities, and knowing the material we covered in our video about the CFV, someone who works with an alien species most likely wouldn't refuse benefits intended to help him effectuate whatever extraterrestrial goals they have in mind, or whatever exoplanetary substitute they have for brains. Diatribe-filled rabbit hole about the CFV aside, another major reason the Butcher is such a deadly contender is that he's really sensitive to sound, something that's especially pertinent and patent in Stay Out of the House. Anything beyond a mouse fart makes him patrol at the very least, and sound significantly louder than that make him frantically search through his house looking for anything up to something that goes against his interest. He's strong enough to knock the player out in a few fell swoops, and coupled with his lightning, or if we're being more generous, light-fast speed, with a seemingly visceral and insatiable urge to implant alien fetuses in people and to lock them up in cages in order to do it, a guy you would want to come across even less. Now our top pick for the deadliest puppet combo antagonist, who would be the fiercest to contend with, would be the Nun from Nun Massacre, and for obvious reasons. We definitively know she's an inhuman being, because she supernaturally phases through solid objects, as if she opened up an invisible console and typed in no-clip, so she could chase after the player while slashing them as her head sticks out of the air vents. It's as if she hovers through the air and has multiple gas-powered machines from Home Depot under her gown, which go off as soon as she starts rushing toward the player, eviscerating any last trace of a functioning eardrum you had. Her speed is comparable to that of the Butcher's, and she stabs with murderous intent and sadistic conviction, and won't stop until the player is dead, or has the opportunity to escape. We actually have less evidence convincing us that she's a member of the CFE than we have for any other puppet combo antagonist, but that only obfuscates where her power comes from. She has black eyes that bleed, and is freakishly tall, clocking in at around 6'8", making her almost equivalent in terms of stature compared to most puppet combo villains. Out of all the gameplay footage we've seen, she seems to have some of the greatest endurance capacities of all of them, and with a fast, tenacious, cunning, supernatural, and large entity chasing you around all the time and screaming bloody murder whenever she sees you, is there any qualm about why we put her at the top spot? Out of the way, folks. We hoped you've enjoyed this video. One of the reasons we've been coming out with uploads so dawdlingly is because we're currently working on another YouTube project that we started not too long ago, and working on videos on that channel has been an absolute slog fest. And on top of that, we're all full-time college students taking a single hour to edit just 1 minute of video for each new upload. On top of that as well, we're just lazy and we hate working for extended periods of time. Figure out how we're gonna do in the real world with this kind of ethic. Anyway, we're gonna put out 2 more videos after this one, so you guys don't get disheartened once we go on hiatus again. And we say hiatus, not because it's a planned break, but with the gaps between our uploads lately, that's what it's starting to seem like. Nevertheless, we hope you've enjoyed our video, and we send our best wishes to all of you.